You're listening to DraftKings Network.
The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast. John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
I f***ing love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole. There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
Headshot, bang.
Yeah, I never consider myself self-involved. And as I've gotten older, I still don't consider myself narcissistic, but I do think I have more of an ego than I thought I had before. I did not intend to begin the show that way. I was going to say allons-y because you speak 6 languages, and that means let's go in French. Do you speak French?
I do not. No. Mais non.
No, mais non. How do you feel about ego as a subject?
Yeah, I think it's an important one. You know, I think it's good.
For fighters, it's inexorably linked to ambition.
Right.
I think, in sort of an opposite type sense. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go UFC back after the bye week. Thanks for everybody checking back in. It is episode 515 of the Anik and Florian podcast. Wherever in the world you may be watching this thing, on YouTube, on the DraftKings network, just listening. We try to, have nice microphones so it sounds nice and crispy, like KenFlo's beard that maybe he doesn't dye. He just is aging in reverse,
I don't dye it, but it's a little out of control.
Yeah, mine's straight white. I don't know if that's stress or what. Anyway, if you missed our first episode live earlier this week, I'd encourage you to check that out. Big John McCarthy, Ignacio Bahamondes, don't pronounce the H. And of course, Mike Valley commanding everything there in Chicago, Illinois. But I have a few things I wanted to bring to your attention here as we continue to count it down to UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Denis, and of course, UFC 307 beckons as well. So, you make a joke on a 7 or 8 hour live UFC telecast. You don't know what's going to land and what's not going to land. So I made a joke about a coffee mug that I have on which it is inscribed white belt tears. Now, my former broadcast partner, Jimmy Smith, was the one who first alerted me to this mug. Now, I'm not even tough enough to be classified as a white belt, right? Like, I think I'm tougher than I shave my head to try to get tougher. I've been doing it since I'm 14. It tells you all you need to know. But one fan thought that I made a joke about white male tears, and he says he's never going to watch the UFC again.
Oh, my God.
And yeah, like I'm not making jokes about my own white male tears. It's a joke about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, white belt tears, as in like white belt, Kenny,
It's hilarious. Well, first of all, let's say you did say that, which you didn't, right? People are so offended now that you say one thing. It's like, they're that fragile that they're not going to watch a certain thing now because of something. I don't get it. I don't get it, John.
Maybe I should try to say white male tears on an upcoming broadcast. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll try to say Big Norm. Oh, wait, I think I don't know if we did that.
We need more Big Norm
up to the top of the sphere. And what I will say about Big Norm, and hopefully Petrie's in the back here, but I think it's the greatest utterance in the history of the Anik and Florian podcast, on which there have been several. But
it's pretty damn good.
I don't know if Petrie said Big Norm 100 more times. He could have said it as comedically or as well as he did that time. The pause. I don't even know if he was trying to be funny, but man, did that fucking land. Big Norm, Meantime, Norma Dumont now with our Anik and Florian podcast touch, right? Remember the name! Bilal Muhammad! Norma Dumont's going to become a champion of the world, and people are going to be getting fucking Big Norm tattoos. Just wait.
Yeah, can we edit out instead of Bilal's name, just have remember the name Big Norm? Can we do that?
Yeah, I think
Bilal, I love you, but come on.
No, I need a Big Norm button like yesterday. Much better a soundbite than Betch Kohea. Yeah, our producer Cody's reminding me. Yeah, I said big win for Big Norm. I paused, and then I just felt it right. I sort of softened the Big Norm like with the big win, and
it was beautiful.
Then took my tone down a little bit. And again, no Zach Candido, Craig Borsari, Michael LaPlante call just yet. We love Norma Dumont. We're promoting the athletes.
Yeah, we are.
Fiora's a bad B, man.
Dude,
watch your film.
Dude, Big Norm might be a champ, by the way.
I'm telling you, dude. At 135 pounds, who's beating Big Norm? We got a title fight coming up. I mean, hey, Norm ain't big enough to not weigh in as the backup in Salt Lake City at altitude. Paging Dumont, Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena under the lights. Salt Lake City coming up October 5th. Kenny, where are you going to be for that pay-per-view? Falling asleep in Charlotte?
You know what's funny? I just got invited to that show, but I think I either have a car rally where I'm driving fast or shooting something. I'm either shooting something or driving something. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing, but
or robot fighting commentary.
One of those.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, I just got invited to that show. I'm not coming. Thanks for the build up and then the letdown. That's like Sean O'Malley saying that he overpromised and underdelivered. You get me all excited. Thought we'd run together.
I know.
It on me. So speaking of film study, if you want to watch Norma Dumont or Manon Fior, you can check out Anik Florian Rewind on UFC Fight Pass in advance of UFC 307. We look back at some early career film on Alex Pineda, his UFC debut, and one of the 5 successive wins in the active streak of Khalil Roundtree Jr. But now with us on the line, and I'm happy to have this guy, and hopefully he's got some things to smile about in the future. And oftentimes when he hits you, you're twitching on the canvas. He's a good man. He's had a tough year, but he's UFC bantamweight Ramon Taveras joining us live here. And we appreciate you joining us, buddy. How are things today, man?
One day at a time, man. That's all.
One day at a time. All right. Well, so you were supposed to fight Keelan Loughran, UFC 304 in Manchester, England, forced to pull out with a serious injury. And then, of course, 2 days after that fight, your supporters know, or I should say 2 days after that fight was to happen, you were attacked by gun violence at your mother's home. And that says nothing of the gun violence your family has experienced prior. So, our hearts go out to you. But I guess if health is wealth, how are you health-wise and how are you and the family right now?
I'm blessed, to be able to get out of that situation when no serious harm or injuries to me. Being able to wake up the next day and see my family, and my family's just like, we're going through it because, it's a hard situation. We don't feel safe, So, but we all just happy, I'm here and I'm just alive being that what happened to my brother in 2019.
That's scary stuff, man. I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're safe. I know you mentioned plans about potentially moving. Do you have any info or any further plans on actually doing that at this stage of the game? Do you know where you would go?
We tried to reach out to the UFC and get some help. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So now I'm just, we got my mom out of her house, but we all want to move out of Jacksonville, the state of Florida, period. But now it's just up to me, I'm going to have to get back in that cage and make it happen like I always do.
Seems like maybe Kenny MMA Fighting and some other outlets had reached out to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. It seems like there's not much support coming from there. Is that
they a few days later, after the video went viral and stuff like that, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office came. They sent some investigators to me, and they literally looked at me in my eyes and said, "We usually don't investigate this type of stuff unless somebody is shot or somebody is murdered." But they said, since you got so much traction, we had no choice but to come and interview you. So you could just tell they were just there just because they had to. And nothing happens since then. I haven't even heard from them since then.
That's crazy, man. That's unfortunate there. And I know it's an issue in a lot of different cities. How is your recovery going from the injury? And do you have a timeline of when you think you'd be back in the octagon?
So I ended up injuring my knee. I tore my ACL back in 2017 when I was an amateur. And I've been having problems with that knee for a while. And then the week before camp, I was wrestling a lot. And I hyperextended my knee. And then when I hyperextended it, I just thought, it's a little injury, it'll be fine. And when I went to go get it looked at, we did MRIs and stuff, and it was a little bit worse than we thought it was. But I've been doing my PT. They wanted to do surgery again, but at this time I can't do surgery. I just need to get back in there before I do the surgery again. So I've been doing my PT. I still been going to the gym, working out and doing the things I need to do. But they already said whenever I feel good to go that I'm good to go. So I already hit up my managers 2 days ago and told them to get me in by the end of the year. And I'm ready. I'm ready to get back in there.
So I guess it's probably a little bit less appealing because he lost to the replacement opponent, Jake Hadley, who fought a great fight. But would you like to see Keelan Loughran and that fight come around again, just given that he hasn't?
He told me, I told him I'll be willing to run it again. And he told me he didn't want to. Look what happened with him in the little 25er. So imagine if it was me in there, So I get it. I get why he wouldn't want to fight me. But I wouldn't mind fighting Jay Hadley then, beat the guy that beat him, or I wouldn't anybody at this point. I got a big reason to fight for now, and anybody that's in front of my way is going to be in danger.
So Ramon Taveras with us here on the Anik and Florian podcast, and if you don't know the backstory, just hit the internet, and a lot of it is heavy. You lost your brother to gun violence in 2019. You guys don't feel particularly safe right now, but you're sort of stuck. In terms of your own mental health, and I could say I went to therapy and I go now for the first time at 46 years of age, worked your way out of depression, working your way into the best shape of your life, and then injury intervenes, but you can't fight the guy sort of on one leg. So where are you relative to sort of optimal mental health in your own journey right now?
I'm not going to lie, man. Fuck. I've been depressed as fuck. But I got reasons to fight for. So yeah, I gotta stay strong. I got 4 kids, and it's unfortunate, because I was like in the best mind space that I was ever in my life before I had to pull in the fight, and then that shit happens, and then it just went all downhill from there. Unfortunately, I try to stay strong for as long as I can, and I just started going downhill. I started drinking, falling back to my old ways, and relationship problems because of it. But I'm man enough to stay here and say, I'm only human. Yeah. I'm staying strong. I got no choice now, though. I'm happy. I just got back into the gym Monday last week. I'm about to go again this week. I just got to pick myself up and stop. I caught myself just being in the house and be like, why me? Why is this happening to me, Yeah. And I can't do that, And unfortunately, I thought I was going to get some type of help from the UFC, and it didn't. But I know this is going to make me stronger. I know I'm going to come back harder. But yeah, man, it's been the last 3 months been the roughest times of my life. Even after I lost my brother, and I just found myself in that position again, but I'm coming back out of it. Yeah. And I'm happy you got me on here, and because I was finally ready to speak about this situation and what's going on. But I'm staying strong, man, and I'm getting my head back right,
You're the man. Well, we are more than willing and happy to talk to you today. Ramon Taveras with us here on the Anik and Florian podcast. And bro, if I could take it to your fight style and your ability and your athleticism for a second, right? 10-2 as a pro, love watching you fight, man. So does everybody in that region, Duval County, right? I know you're sort of feeling like you're sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out right now, but bro, you're a promoter's dream in many respects. You got a winning streak right now, which a lot of bantamweights can't lay claim to. There's a lot obviously to fight for with the 4 kids. And yeah, man, I feel like if you're a man of faith, I don't know, but God sort of gives you everything you can handle before completely breaking you. And hopefully, cry it out a little bit and spin it around,
and you're right about that. Since all this happened, I haven't cried in months. And yesterday, Saturday night, I just had a big breakdown and just let it all out finally, and I think I needed that, and yeah, unfortunately, this happened to me and it happened to my brother, but I still love Duval, it made me who I am, made me that hard body that I am. Right. And that's why I fight the way I fight. But, unfortunately, sometimes where you're from is not where you need to be, unfortunately, I don't need to be here. I got so much to live for. I got so much to fight for. And but I don't regret from being from Duval, not one bit.
Well, we'll see what our Anik and Florian podcast family can do to try to help the situation and do whatever we can. You know what's funny? We did talk to one fighter at one point in time. I think it was Jared Gooden. And I was like, dude, I'm going to bring you $100 at the official weigh-in, man. You know, and I was just sort of saying it because I was just overwhelmed by his situation. So the dude's getting ready to weigh in. He's like, hey, you got that C note? You know? I'm for it, you know? Definitely did ask me to sign it. That's for sure. So, well, I hope you get one in later this year. I do want to ask you, I would imagine the future is going to be bantamweight, you know, if you sort of try to have discipline be the jumping off point of all of this. I think at 36, a lot of these guys would love to have your skill set and your power, right?
Yeah. You know, I'm very blessed. You know, it comes to me very naturally standing up. And like even like when I fought CD the second time, you know, I had this thought in my head, like when my brother passed away, because he knew my dream and he believed in it just like I believed in it. And I was like, when I make it to the UFC, everything is gonna be better. Like, you know, I put that in my head, like everything's gonna be better. It's gonna make me feel better about my brother. And unfortunately, when I got into the UFC, when I got the contract, I went back into depression again because I realized it didn't change nothing. Like, you know, unfortunately in this game, you got to work your way up and then it can change your life and your family's life, you know?
Yeah.
And I went home to the same shit.
Yeah.
So I went back into depression and then I literally, the reason why I missed weight and everything, because I wasn't disciplined. I did me and my coach fell out. I did my training camp at Crunch Fitness. Like, you know, a lot of people don't know the backstory of why I missed weight and why I performed. Even though I won and I know I won in my heart, I literally beat City at my worst and I beat him at his best. And that's what I take from that fight, you know? And that's why I was like ready to fight Colin, because I was like so much in the better mental space. I was in sick shape. And then unfortunately that happened and then everything just rippled down from there. But hopefully I'm trying to get in there November, December. It'd be dope if they could get me on the Tampa card in December.
Yeah.
So that's what we're aiming for. So
yeah.
Go ahead, KenFlo.
Sorry, I was going to say, Ramon, you're a super talented fighter, man. It's amazing to see what you can do in the pocket. There's not a whole lot of guys that can move their head, get people to miss and counter like you do. So, man, just stay on the grind, keep working hard, and just know, like, we've heard the story, you know, whether people who are trying to achieve a world championship or trying to make $1 million for the first time in their life, whatever it is, you know, those are never the things that keep you happy. It's what your mentality is like and just grinding every single day and trying to be your best self, man. And I know you're going to get there if you put in that work, man. It's really fun to see you. You're a very talented individual.
Thank you.
Hey, real quick, since the title was just on the line at that Sphere show in Vegas, did you watch that? And were you expectant that Merab Dvalishvili was going to beat Sean O'Malley, or were you surprised?
Yeah. I figured he was going to beat Sean O'Malley. You know, I watched him live when he beat Henry Cejudo, and that's when I knew his wrestling was that good. You know, I was there for the Taporia fight too. And I knew, I was like, wow, this guy might be really good. And you know, one of my managers is Uriah Faber. And I heard him talk to Henry Cejudo in the back because I was around there. And Henry Cejudo was just saying that the way he puts it together for the takedown was just hard for him to stop. So when I heard him say that, and Henry Cejudo say that about him, I knew that he had a big chance of out-grappling and beating Sean O'Malley.
If I'm fighting Merab, I'm asking for like him to get a full body MRI before the fight. See if there's like a machine going on in there or something.
He is, man. He's nonstop wrestling, man, and you can't get him off of you.
Well, if you want to support this man, Ramon Taveras, on Instagram, you can find him at catch_D's_hands. Stay healthy, my man. We look forward to your next fight. And as Kenny was saying, just stay on that grind, man. The MMA community is behind you. And not that you need to think in terms of, you know, someone catching these hands, a $50,000 bonus, and then you're off and spinning. But, you know, sometimes you got to bottom out to get to the other side. And we're always here as an outlet if there's anything we can do. So.
Okay. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be back in there. I'm going to be back stronger. You know, I've been here before. It's nothing I never experienced. You know, it's just a little bit harder, but I know who I am and what I'm made of, and I'll be in there soon.
My man, you're the man. Have a great day and a good weekend. We'll stay in touch, all right?
Yeah, so thank you, guys.
All right, there he is. UFC bantamweight Ramon Taveras with us here on the Anik Florian podcast. And he won a fight this year on a numbered pay-per-view event, right? Yeah, there was a weight miss, right? But the dude has legitimate talent. And I think when the mental is aligned and the discipline is there, no one wants to catch those hands. So.
100%, man. And people forget that, it's more than just training that fighters are dealing with. We're human beings and a lot of stuff going on outside of the fight game, and being able to put that aside every single day for every single fight is not easy. So I wish him the best of luck.
And it sounds trite, there's these kid songs, crying takes the sad out of you, right? I mean, KenFlo's like, can you please fucking stop? I do think holding in tears can be a recipe for disaster. So hopefully that was therapeutic in some part for Ramon Taveras. Speaking of therapy, I mean, let's get to a man who lights up the room. Big gun, Brian Petrie. How we doing?
Doing good. I have a new favorite fighter now, and it's Ramon Taveras. I mean, the vulnerability, the openness of what he's going through. Not to mention he's an incredible fighter, incredibly exciting, great hands. I didn't know him. I mean, obviously I knew him when he fought. Didn't know him on that personal level. I watched the whole interview, and yeah, he's got a fan for life. I'm going to root for that guy forever. That was awesome.
Well, you have exponentially more fans for life than you had maybe a few weeks ago before you said Big Norm into a microphone. If she becomes the world champion, you are officially off and running.
Man,
did you hear the top of the show, Brian?
I did not. No, I just got out of the shower, got home from work, hopped on.
Yeah. Yep. You look fresh and clean. What do you dial? You Dove guy? You use body wash or use a bar of soap, Brian?
So I'm a little pampery. I order some like body wash that's expensive.
Yeah.
And then the hair, my wife does hair, so she gets the fancy shampoo. But yeah, I like to smell good. Us big guys got a reputation of stinking. I ain't gonna stink. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like to smell some.
You smell good through the television.
Thank you.
My brother tells me I got to stop buying my laundry detergent at Buff City Soap. He says my clothes smell too good. He's looking for fragrance-free, non-hypoallergenic, non-cancer causing. Anyway, Bri.
Yeah.
So I am soon going to have a Big Norm button on my board here. I think it's the greatest utterance in the history of the Anik Florian podcast. I said as much off the top of the show today. I also suggested were you to utter with that perfect pregnant pause, little chubby, little like Big Norm, whatever the you did, bro. I don't know that you could have said it more comedically or better in the other 99 attempts. It's the greatest thing ever said on the history of the show.
Thank you. I take the compliment, and I sometimes do that with my wife. I'll say something, she'll crack up. I'm like, what? She's like, the way you said it. And then I will try to repeat the way I said it. It's gone. I don't know. I'll never be able to find it again. It was an off the cuff moment. Never really thought I'd take off the way it did. And then you uttering on the broadcast after she had a flawless performance with Irene Aldana, one of the worst cuts I've ever seen. My goodness.
Crazy.
But yeah, it's been really fun to see all the messages and whatnot.
We had Big John McCarthy on earlier this week, and somehow it came up. It's a tough question. I know you're not prepared for this.
Yeah.
Kenny likes the question. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a horse birth on the internet. But would you rather watch Irene Aldana get sutured up over the course of an hour or however long it took, start to finish? Or would you rather watch a horse birth?
Suture all day long. I'm not watching a horse birth, bro. I'll watch her get sutured. Yeah, the horse birth. No, thanks.
Yeah, I was subjected to watching it, and I'm kind of like a nature's metal guy. I can lean into that stuff a little bit, but
I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like we got Big John on. He's like, sorry, I got to go. I have a goat that's about to, give birth on aisle 9. No, I run that one back. Is that okay? No, I know I did that earlier. We have got a lot to do today. One thing we don't do any longer is the pronunciation of the week. There has been a lot of fan support in favor of that segment returning, but that is not a part of the show. All right, we have 6 main card fights to break down today. Ray Longo is in Paris, France. And he will corner Matt the Steamroller Frivola.
Yeah.
We begin our main event challenge with Frivola and Faresium in the lightweight division. Right now, Steamroller, Bri, even money underdog on DraftKings Sportsbook. The local Faresium, the Smile Killer, minus 120, the betting favorite. This thing has moved around a little bit. Any major feel here on these guys at 155 BP?
So we get a lot of flack. I'm sure Kenny gets as well. We're homers when it comes to Ray Longo's guys or whatever. I believe Kenny and I both picked Sean O'Malley to win, so we're not always homers. But listen, the one thing about Ray Longo, when I first got into sports betting, the one thing I was told, the one little sentence I was told is you don't make money betting against New England Patriots. That was like one of my first sayings I got years ago. You don't make money betting against Ray Longo guys. I mean, the guy is going to be one of the best, coaches ever live, Hall of Fame, all that stuff. And Frivola is a guy who I am a little biased. I don't know Marab. I don't know Aljo. I've met Frivola. I met his steamroller. I met his dad, the bulldozer. And I love the family. Matt and I have exchanged text messages. I'm friendly with his brother as well. And he's a great person. He's a great guy. In this fight, I'm trying to take my unbiased cap off. And I really think it's a great matchup for Matt. I think Matt needs to get back to the grappling. When he fought Jalen Turner, it's a similar body type as Ziem. He took Jalen Turner down and he's heavy on top. The only thing with Matt is he comes out with his hair on fire sometimes. He's got knockout power. Of course he does. He knocked out Drew Dober. Not many people can say that. But sometimes he gets a little too excitable and mistakes happen, kind of like in the Benoit Saint Denis fight. He got 2 takedowns in that fight in that wild exchange. And on the break, got caught in a kick. Benoit Saint Denis is a stud. So it is what it is. But I like to see him use that urgency and use the aggression to his advantage, but also fight smart. Ziem got taken down 7 times his last time out against Claudio Puelles, who is not the grappler. He's a great grappler, but he's not a great wrestler. He's not a great takedown artist. And get taken down 7 times by him, I think Steamroller, big wide body boy, is going to be able to get Ziem down here. I like Steamroller. Plus money is a great thing here. This is something I'm going to be hammering as well. I know it's bouncing all around, so I'm going to get him at plus money when I can. But yeah, give me Frivola, the Steamroller, baby.
Oh, and Cody, I just realized I forgot to do some sort of birthday or shout out for Sal, the bulldozer. Frivola.
Oh, it's his birthday?
Sal. Not today. I just got a lot going on, Sal. My sincere apologies. That's neither here nor there. Love the analysis, Bri, except for the part about not fading Longos guys. Kenny, for the record, made 5 figures fading Longos guy on the Contender Series, but last week. So obviously, I'm not the guy. Just kidding. Who gets the use of the Longo? It's too easy. It's on a platter. Kenny, Matt Frivola, Fares Ziem on the other side, still just 27. Smile killer with momentum. He's won 3 in a row, 5 of 6. Who do you like at 55?
That's good stuff. Well, you know what? I like Frivola here as well. I think his grappling is going to give him an advantage here in this fight. Listen, Ziem is an excellent striker, and I think that Frivola could have some success there as well. But to stand up with him for too long, I think would probably be a mistake. And I think he needs to mix things up. Do a very similar game plan to what Merab did against O'Malley. Mix up the strikes, yes, absolutely, but use that to disguise your takedown and takedown attempts. That's where he can really take control of this fight. It will be a safer path. And I think he's going to be able to execute that. So I like Frivola here as well.
This ends a stretch of 6 straight appearances on a numbered or pay-per-view card for the Steamroller Matt Frivola. Wow. This fight night figures to be loud nonetheless. All right, at featherweight, Morgan Charrier minus 535, Gabriel Miranda plus 400. Miranda trains at MMA Masters here in South Florida under Daniel Valverde and Cesar Carnero. Hasn't fought since UFC 293. Bri, that was a submission win over Shane Young over a year ago. 34-year-old grappler with 16 career wins by submission. Odds makers, though, not giving him much of a chance here against Charrier. BP, how do you see it?
I'm a big fan of Charrier. I was a big fan of him before he came to the UFC, and he went split decision with Chepe Maniscal, which that dude's a dog. If you go split, where a lot of people thought he won.
I thought he won, yeah.
Yeah, right. That is a really good testament of who you are in the UFC. That was his 3rd fight in the UFC. He's a Frenchman. He's fighting in France, in Paris, France. Last time they were in France, the crowd was insane. They're a great MMA crowd, and I think it's going to be loud here for Miranda, who I think really only has one path to victory, and that's get the fight to the ground, which is easier said than done, and land a submission, which is another thing easier said than done. Charrier's got a lot of experience, and my only complaint with him is not really a complaint. He's technically sound. Everything's perfect. The body kick stoppage he had early in his UFC career, or second fight in UFC, was great. He just sometimes freezes. He doesn't throw enough. I don't want him to be dangerous and not cautious, but he has the skills to pay the bills. He has the skills to get guys out of there. I'm looking for a $50K bonus out of him. The line is really wide, so I am going to jump in the prop pool for this one. I will go Charrier by KO, but obviously Vegas esteemed this here. I mean, I've seen as high as minus 600. So give me Charrier.
Nicely done, Bri. Yeah, KenFlo, the French fighter, a huge favorite here, perhaps being showcased perhaps no such thing in the UFC. He's 1-1 in the octagon, 19-10-1 overall. Who do you like here, KenFlo?
Yeah, I think BP's right. I think it really does come down to Charrier's ability to stop the takedown. I think Miranda greatly increases his chances of winning this fight by putting Charrier on his back. But even then, Charrier is really good at getting back to his feet and getting back to his feet safely. I think he's a talented dude, one of the more athletically gifted guys you will see compete inside the octagon, especially in that division. So I like Charrier there as well. I think his striking and his ability to stop the takedowns with that judo background is going to serve him well here.
All right, next up, what are the ratings on television going to be like in Charlotte, North Carolina? Good matchup at welterweight. Ultimate Fighter Season 29 winner. I added that to my notes. I had no idea that Brian Battle won tough. He's minus 175 here, Bri, taking on Kevin Air Juice, plus 145. Battle fighting for the first time since that no contest against Ange Losa. He's only lost to Rinat Fakhretdinov in 7 UFC fights thus far. Now he draws the judo player Kevin Air Juice, who is 31, trains out of City Kickboxing, lives in New Zealand, but born in Bordeaux, France.
Yeah.
What do we think of this one at 170 pounds, Brian Petrie?
Sleeper fight, in my opinion. I think this fight is going to be high level, very, very good. You say interesting striking style. He's working on his grappling, has a submission win. And Brian Battle's a guy who kind of really didn't come out of nowhere. I watched the season of Tough. I didn't think he was going to win. Then he wins, and I didn't think he's going to do any good in the UFC. This guy's had a glow up in a massive proportion. He got rid of the Rick James curls, the old mop top. He got rid of it, got the hair short, handsome little dude. Changed his name Pooh Bear to the Butcher, which is way better with a name like Brian Battle. And he's getting better. His last time out against Ange Losa, he was dominating the fight. I know it ended on weird circumstances, but the fire after the fight too, they almost, I like that intensity this guy brings. And he's constantly getting better. He's a good grappler. He's long. He's a good striker. And I just think he's a little bit more dog than Juice. Juice's pretty. Juice likes to get his angles and get in and out. Not a lot of volume. Brian Battle likes to throw jabs. Likes to get in there. Likes to mix it up. I like the mixing it up on Battle. I like the minus 185 as well. I think he's going to win this fight. I don't know if it's going to be a stoppage, but I do see him winning, a decision. Maybe a stoppage. I wouldn't rule it out, but I like him to win this fight, and I look pretty good doing it.
KenFlo on the other side, Juice has won 5 in a row overall. This would be the toughest test of his UFC career, and by a fairly significant margin. He's 8-1 since he lost his third pro fight to 3-name Jack Della Maddalena, plus 145 next to the name Juice on DraftKings Sportsbook. But KenFlo, you can't fade the kid out of Charlotte, North Carolina, or can you?
Well, I got to say, early on in his career, like Brian, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in him. I wasn't sure. He kind of looked a little unorthodox for my liking, and just wasn't sure if he'd be able to put it all together against all the great athletes in that UFC division. So I was a little bit cold on it, but I have turned around. Again, that last fight against Lusa, although it was a DQ because that inadvertent eye poke, he was dominating that fight. He was kind of making it look easy. He's huge for the division. And it's the full package that he's able to put together that allows him to get a lot of these wins and look good. And more than anything else here against Juice, who I think is a very good fighter, I think the volume is going to be the difference. In Battle, it just stays a little bit more active. He's a little bit more aggressive. Juice, like Brian said, is more the slick guy from the outside. I think Battle can make it a battle, make it a little bit ugly, and win the fight in that manner.
All right, we'll see where these guys ultimately fall in about 5 to 7 minutes. Place your bets. They will have $1,000 to spend at UFC Fight Night, and there is some work to do. All right, next up at featherweight, Sao Paulo, Brazil's Joanderson Brito, minus 270, William Gomes, plus 220. So, Brito's won 5 in a row since dropping that UFC debut to Bill Algeo. Most recently got the TKO against Jack Shore. That was his 5th straight finish. A lot of people are bullish on Brito. Where do you stand? And ultimately, how do you handicap this next challenge?
I'm confused by the line because I feel like Brito should be minus 500. Like, what am I missing? This is what's going to get me in troubles when I see someone minus 270, which is a good size favorite, but I place them way higher. I'm going to back up the truck like I did against Zellhuber, and look what happened on that one. Gomes is he's a Frenchman, good striker coming off his great knockout with a head kick. He's slick, but he doesn't throw enough volume. He's working on his takedowns. He lands some good takedowns, but I feel like until his last fight, I felt like he was a little bit of a boring fighter, a little dry, I'm going to do just enough to win. Brito's a fucking freight train, bro. This guy has a win over Diego Lopez on the Contender Series and just runs through everybody on there. Big, powerful shots. Has you grappling himself with all those fucking muscles. You think he's slowed down. He doesn't. He just comes and wants to fucking knock your head off. I like Brito big here. That could be final last words for your boy here, but I like him big. I think he's going to get a KO. I think he's going to show out. I think he's going to look good, man.
Nicely done. Bottom third of the featherweight top 15, KenFlo, reads like this. Giga Chikadze, Lerone Murphy, Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell, Dan Ige, Edson Barboza. Brito is fighting for some real estate this weekend. A lot of fighters dropped when Diego Lopez moved up 10 spots to number 3. But Brito is right there. Kenny William Gomez, by the way, 3-0 in the UFC, hasn't fought in more than a year. Had that weight cutting complication in Brazil, forced him out of a fight with Jean Silva at UFC 301, withdrew from the Melsik Bagdasarian fight in February. So, I guess predictably, I thought it'd be a little bit wider. Ultimately, KenFlo, we need your prediction if you like Brito or Gomez.
Yeah, Joanderson Brito, he is extremely powerful. He's extremely fast. I think he gets a little wild at times. Also, I think needs to be mindful of his pacing at times as well. But he is a finisher through and through, really exciting to watch. And that's what makes this fight so interesting here. William Gomez is a very technical striker. I think a lot of that has to do with the footwork and his ability to keep proper range. He's going to have a huge height advantage like he will against most guys that he faces. But I agree with Brian that he probably needs to up his volume a little bit or will certainly have to be very sharp on the counter against someone like Brito. Also needs to be very good with his takedown defense here, because I think Brito will probably look for the knockout here as well, but most likely will try to put Gomez on his back. Now, I've been aligned with Brian every single fight until now. I actually like Gomez here. I like him for the upset. I know we haven't seen a lot from him here. That's what I'm a little worried about, but I also need some freaking points here, guys. So give me the Frenchman in Paris.
Yeah,
For the record, your main event challenge picks don't even fucking matter.
All right. Good.
But we're always
It matters to me.
Yeah. Well, no, we can start stacking standings, but you might actually be beating him head to head, picking actual fights in the main event challenge. I'm sure he's probably tracking it. Maybe not. But if anybody ever has suggestions for the segment, by all means. To that end,
Yeah.
a lot of shows go main event, co-main event, and predict the fight that way. I kind of like to build up to it, which has me very excited at this point in time because what a huge fight at middleweight here, guys. Ooh. Co-main event. 4th ranked Nasruddin Imavov, minus 218. 8th ranked Brendan Allen is plus 180. Very interesting fight here. Title eliminator of sorts, Bry.
Yeah.
Who wins this co-main event? 3 rounds and not 5 as BA would have liked.
Man, I tell you what, this makes me want to flip my fucking desk over. This is such a good fight. Oh. Either of these guys could be fighting for the title if it wasn't for a guy named Sean Strickland. If Sean Strickland did not have that card against DDP, one of these guys might have already been slid in there. You never know. This, in my opinion, I never tell fighters to wait. Whoever wins this fight, you wait to see the winner of Strickland DDP. You have to, right? Because both these guys are high level. They've earned it. They've done enough. Nasruddin coming off an impressive win over Derek Cannonier, where I know it was like a weird stoppage, but he hurt him bad. He was cruising that fight, landed 2 takedowns, which is impressive. A guy who is Dagestanian but represents France and is a good striker and has that grappling in him. He's strong, body lock. Chris told me when they fought and he took Chris down, Chris was surprised how strong he was because he's kind of tall. He's 6'3", 6'4". He's not built like you would think, but he's strong. Brendan Allen's a guy I just constantly doubt. I've constantly picked against him. I know he fought Chris, which was an incredible main event, one of the fights of the year. But this guy is constantly getting better. He's learned from mistakes. He's got what I hear college people say about football players. He's got moxie. This young man's got some moxie.
Yeah.
And he's got skills too. Like if it goes to the ground, which is easier said than done, if it goes to the ground, Brendan Allen can submit Nasruddin for sure. And you see how I'm avoiding his last name because I'm good to butcher it and John's good to going to give me. Yeah. We don't have the pronunciation of the week anymore, but I don't know how to say it. How do you say it, John? Last name real quick.
Dirt Nap for the pronunciation of the week. Oh, Imavov.
Imavov. There you go. See, I've always said Imamov or something like that, and I don't want your ears to bleed. Anyway, an incredible high level fight. I like Imamov. Imavov. Am I saying it right? Nasruddin. Whatever. Here we go. All right, back in the zone. Back in the zone. I like Nasruddin here.
This guy doesn't win the title for the sake of the MMA Takes podcast. Jesus.
What'd you say?
You better hope that Nasruddin Imavov doesn't win the belt for the sake of your podcast.
Me butchering it on my own show, they just laugh at me. I was like, look at this guy. But anyway, I like him over Brendan Allen. I'm going to pick against Brendan Allen again. I don't want to. I wish I was all in on Brendan Allen, but I just think Nasruddin just has a little bit more everywhere. And Brendan tends to get hurt a little bit in fights. I like that it's a 3-round fight, but he's got to let it go and he's got to get the fight to the ground because he is special on the ground. So, give me Nasruddin.
KenFlo, Brendan Allen, 24 pro wins. Still a very young man, 12-2 in the UFC. He's won 7 in a row. I got to think some people are enticed at the plus 180 early Anik and Florian podcast poll results. 53.2% of you like Brendan Allen. He's plus 180 right now. KenFlo, what do you think about the co-main event and ultimately who leaves Paris with hand raised?
This is a tough one. I want to flip my desk over because I'm frustrated at which way I'm going to go here. But, Allen is one of those guys that really has been improving all aspects. And you mentioned his 7-fight win streak right now. That is nothing to sneeze at. To do that in the UFC in any division is extremely impressive. But I think it's pretty simple from the way I'm looking at it. Why? Because for Allen, he needs to take this fight to the ground. Now, does he have the wrestling that's good enough to beat Imavov? I'm not so sure. Imavov is a problem because he has a way of backing up against the fence, which gives him a huge advantage when it comes to wrestling defense. If he's out in the open, I think that's Allen's best bet at hitting a takedown. But then Imavov's very good at dictating distance from there as well. And there's something that clicked, I think, the last couple fights in Imavov that tells me that he's fighting with much more of a confidence and an aggression that he didn't quite have before. So he's come into his own, and he's extremely dangerous, dude. Every single strike he throws now, he's trying to hurt you. So I like Imavov here as well. Love Allen. Hard to go against someone like that with that story. But I like Imavov here, but won't be upset if Allen's able to get the win here in a big spot.
Well delivered, KenFlo, and it is amazing, right? The current status of the UFC's middleweight division. You're Brendan Allen. You win 7 in a row, and your reward is being a plus 180 underdog against Nasruddin Imavov. 185 is on fire. There is a legitimate logjam all chasing the South African Dricus du Plessis. All right, main event time at lightweight. 12th ranked Benoit Saint-Denis, minus 270. Number 11, Renato Moicano is plus 220. As 99% of you probably know, BSD humbled by Dustin Poirier at UFC 299 in Miami back in March. Prior to that, though, of course, he was on a serious seek and destroy mission with 5 successive wins. Now he faces Kenny, the 16-time UFC veteran and 11-time UFC winner, the money man, Renato Moicano. We'll see if he can stack on the road. KenFlo, lead us off on the main event, if you would be so kind.
Very, very interesting fight here. Moicano, I think, is the better grappler when it comes to advancing position and finishing from certain positions, especially, his arm triangle, his position from the back. I don't think Saint-Denis is as technical of a grappler as Renato Moicano, but he makes up for it with his aggression. BSD I'm talking about makes up for it with his aggression, makes up for it with his size. The guy is absolutely massive at 155 pounds. And I think he'll be the more powerful guy, not necessarily the better striker. I think they're about even there as well. But physicality matters, especially in a sport like this where you're colliding into each other. And I think it's tough for me to go against someone like Moicano because I like him so much, everything about him. But I think Saint-Denis, coming off that loss against Dustin Poirier, I think he's going to be that much more motivated, that much better here. And I think his takedowns are going to be a little bit better. And Moicano is a phenomenal grappler like I talked about, but he does his best work when he is on top. And I don't see him getting too many opportunities to get that takedown and stay on top of someone like Benoit Saint-Denis. If he's able to do that and he's the better wrestler, then guess what? Moicano wins this. I just don't see that happening over the course of 5 rounds. I also like BSD. His chin for the most part is going to hold up unless he's facing someone like a devastating striker like Poirier, but he's got a good chin and he's got a good heart. He's fighting in Paris. That's another advantage for him. I think he has a little bit too many advantages here going into this one, but similar to that last fight that we talked about, wouldn't be disappointed if Moicano was able to get the win here. I just think Saint-Denis is going to come in here hot and get the win. Not sure he gets the finish, but wouldn't be surprised with the decision here.
Going to be deafening when he makes the walk. Moicano, 35 years of age, Bri, was undefeated when he made his UFC debut against Brian T. City Ortega in 2017. Now he has realized the best form of his career, 3 straight wins over Brad Riddell, Drew Dober, and Jalen Turner, and all uniquely tough challenges. Now, though, we see what he has for the French Special Forces operative, Benoit Saint-Denis. Petrie, who wins the main event in Paris, if you would?
Love this fight. Money Moicano. We got Jason Anik rubbing elbows with Money Moicano on podcasts all the time. He's his best friend. Is he going to be upset when we pick against him? I like Money Moicano. I like moving up to 55, and I like that his personality is shining. The guy's on the mic. He's electric. I love everything about him. This is a tough spot for him because Benoit Saint-Denis is coming off a loss. But listen, you lose to Dustin Poirier in the manner that he did. Big fucking whoop. Dustin Poirier is one of the greatest of all time. But the aggression of Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be the problem with Moicano because Moicano does get hurt a lot. I mean, Jalen Turner thought he had a walk-away KO his last fight, and he didn't. Moicano is tough as nails, but his body language when he gets hurt is a little worrisome. And when he gets hurt, it does happen quite often in fights. He's been put out a few times. And Benoit Saint-Denis, even though isn't the most technical striker, does hit like a truck. Everyone that's been in there with him was like, that boy's strong. You know what I mean? And thank God that France has a guy like Benoit Saint-Denis. The stereotype of French people, they're a bunch of pussies, right? No, go meet Benoit Saint-Denis, call that guy a pussy. It ain't going to happen, right? That dude is fucking serious. But Moicano on the ground is sticky, man. He's really good. He's hard to get off top. His top pressure is very, very good. So if it gets to the ground later rounds, I'm a little worried about that. Can Benoit Saint-Denis go 5 rounds? I know with Dustin Poirier said he had a bad case of staph infection. That's why he kind of slowed down that fight. And again, it's just Dustin Poirier. He had some good moments in that fight, but then got caught up in what Dustin Poirier does. I like Saint-Denis here. I like him by KO within the first 2 rounds. I think this is a perfect live betting spot here. Because after the first round, maybe halfway through the second round, you're going to get a great number on Moicano. And I think Moicano can control the fight if it goes to the 5th round. So I think that's my play here. Benoit Saint-Denis, early KO, round 1 or 2, and then run for the hills and throw some money on Money Moicano. But my pick is Benoit Saint-Denis.
I like the specifics in terms of how people could potentially attack the board. Yeah. You better hope Cyril Gane doesn't move to Cincinnati, Ohio, and end up on your UPS route.
Listen,
going at the French.
Do you remember? Hold on. Do you remember years ago on The Ultimate Fighter? There was a guy. Don't know his fighter's name. He goes, "I'm here to prove." They used to fight to get in the house. "I'm here to prove that Frenchmen are tough and we're not pussies," and blah blah blah. And he quit on the stool. And Dana White's like, "Well, so much for French not being pussies." Yeah, that's what I was referencing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Cyril Gane has watched every episode of The Ultimate Fighter, so I think
I know he has. Yeah.
By the way, Renato Moicano, last loss when he stepped up famously on 4 days' notice for that 5-round co-main event against Rafael Dos Anjos, 272, March 2022. All right, we could update the standings.
We don't have to
tell you that KenFlo picked up a few $100, which is also all that really matters, right? The Petrie lead is down to $2,600, not at all surmountable. You guys got, your tips kicked in other than both hitting straight on.
So, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough personally too.
Goes the other way, and KenFlo stacking.
Sure.
Place your bets. Brought to you by JohnAnik.com, where you can get 15% off all Anik and Florian podcasts, One More Sleep, and Bilal Muhammad merchandise with promo code BULLY. You guys get $1,000 UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Saint-Denis. BP, take it away.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad Kenny picked William Gomez because I am bullish on Brito. I don't know what I'm seeing that Vegas is not seeing. I got 400 on Joe Anderson Brito. Give me 300 on Imavov. Give me 200 on the Steamroller at plus money. And then give me Saint Denis KOs round 1 and 2. Not available yet on DraftKings Sportsbook, but I will chase that number for you. Saint Denis KOs between round 1 and 2, $100.
$50 on each of those, round 1 and round 2?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Like it.
All right. Nicely done, Bri. KenFlo, you got $1,000. Who is getting your money in Paris?
All right. So I'm going to put $750 on Imavov. 750 on Imavov. I repeat. And then I'm going to do a little parlay because I need some money. Doing a $250 parlay. Give me Gomez, Imavov, and Saint Denis. Let's go. Right. What will that pay, John? We got to figure that out.
Quite well. We'll calculate that parlay for you. And we'll even calculate it if you lose and tell you what you would have won.
Yes.
Brian Petrie, live on in infamy. Big Norm. If you get another dog or have a girl, you got to name it Norma. Have a great day. And MMA Takes podcast on fire this week. Any parting shot, kid?
Yeah, I appreciate you not wearing the Commander shirt that you wear quite often. My Bengals are going against it. They're 0-2.
Yeah.
We need a fucking win, Johnny. Yeah. I don't like the 7.5. I don't care if they cover. Need the dub.
I can't wait to talk to Cedal Gone. Have a great day, buddy. Thank you. Brian Petrie with us here for the Main Event Challenge and place your bets. And with that, we got to bounce on out of here. Maybe some bonus content later in the week for Vola and Longo from Paris. Thank you to Ramon Taveras sharing his story with us today. That's a good man, and we're going to try to lift him up as best we can. Thanks to Brian Petrie. Thank you to Jason Anik, Cody Merrill, our producer. JohnAnik.com is live for your merchandise. KennyFlorian.com, best website out there. If you don't know, now you know. We will talk to you next week, pay-per-view week. We will look at Pereira and Roundtree Jr. and recap the piss out of Moicano and Saint Denis. We appreciate every last one of you. Tell your friends if you like the show, and we'll be back with a couple more episodes next week. With that, for the legend Kenny Florian, I'm John Anik. Have a great day and a better evening. Yo later.
I love this shit.
To the bread, he's cornbread. Cornbread. He's cornbread. Cornbread. Life is so precious, do the best that you can. Keep your hands on the bar, he's the open man. He's cornbread.